We have put together.
Good morning. Good morning. Hey, it's 10 o'clock on Monday, Eastern time. Hope everyone's doing well. Hey, good morning. Nice to see y'all. So it's 10:02. Let's give it a couple of minutes and see who else jumps on. But super excited for today, and I hope you are too. And it's Monday. Let's get off to a great start. I'm gonna make a quick coffee while we're waiting, and that's the secret recipe right there. So thank y'all for being on. Hopefully more people jump on here quickly. Hey, Wes. Good morning. Do we have anyone on YouTube? Any questions yet, or comments, or because we're about to get started?
Good morning. Nope, we don't have any questions right now, but we've got a couple of viewers on.
Awesome. Great.
Hopefully,
Well,
get things going, and we'll have some questions come in.
that'd be awesome. Well, good morning. This is the CRE Experts Q&A call. For everyone on Zoom, they're involved with EXP Realty or Commercial on our team, and we have this call every Monday at 10 a.m. And it's a Q&A. So it could be, as simple as what are we seeing in the market to a very complex question about commission or agency agreements or whatever. So I appreciate all of you being on. It means a lot. The tried and true are on, and I appreciate you. So first want to just open up how, and to any mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. Hope you had a great one. And yeah, you're welcome. And just wanted to ask how everyone's weekend was. And it's been a week since we had the call. Is there any wins or losses, stories that people want to share personally or in the industry? We'd love to hear them now. And do that, and then we're going to do our broker spotlight.
Yeah, I got my listing in Dallas under contract the Friday before last. I don't know if I mentioned that on the last call, but that was a good thing, and so I'm happy about that.
Congratulations, that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm working on a land opportunity right now. I'm in a multiple offer situation with some land up in Denver, North Carolina right now. I was able to get the buyer to go up from 1.35 to 1.5 million, but I'm being told we've got another offer on the table for 1.7. So I don't know if they're going to come that high, but I'm in the race, and I at least have got them to at least offer a higher price. So I'm hoping we get that, but it looks like I've got some stiff competition, but it's encouraging nevertheless.
All right. Well, good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
But hey, congrats getting that under contract. Big win. Good luck on your bidding war. Hopefully you guys come out on top. You never know. Crazy.
Yeah, no matter what, even if it doesn't happen, man, I'll tell you, I've been in a couple. It's been a great opportunity to really cast my net with a lot of the builders and so forth. I have gotten really good relationships with probably about a dozen land acquisition people, with big builders and so forth. We're on a first name basis. I've met a few of them for lunch, and it's been if this doesn't happen, a lot of really other peripheral things have come out of it and very, very good. So it's been a good experience no matter what happens.
Man, you won because of you want to be in this industry for years to come. I mean, that's how you look at every opportunity and deal, and you're doing it. I mean, if we just live and die by every deal right in front of us, and we're gonna have a lot of heartbreak. So kudos to you for noticing or recognizing that that's how we last in this industry, and that's how we make money, not 6 days from now, but 6 or maybe 6 years from now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Sure. Thank you, Clifford.
Oh yeah, anytime. Anyone else have any wins or losses they want to share before we get into a broker spotlight? Can be anything. All right. So I want to take this time to give whoever has not said, and even if you've done it before and you want to do it again, that's fine, because maybe you didn't talk about something you want to talk about. But I want to give it this chance to someone on the call to take 2, 3, 5 minutes and just talk about themselves and what they do or what they've done or what their goals are. And like I said, if you spoke before, please do it again. But I'd like to learn a little bit more about all of you. So please, someone take the reins.
I've spoken before, but I'll let someone else take the spotlight. But if no one chirps, I can I'll speak again. I've done this before, but I'll let someone else. I'll give someone else first first rights.
First right of refusal. I like it.
Yeah, first right of refusal. If not, I'll talk about myself, I guess. You know.
Hey, go ahead, man. I wanna hear what's on your mind. I love it. Or whoever wants to. We can have two people if we want.
I was just gonna say, well, I'm new, just loving all the information that I'm soaking up, the different approaches that I'm soaking up. So just really appreciate being here, and I feel like I learn something every time I tune in. So glad to be here.
Thank you. I love it.
Yeah, I guess one thing that I guess I've been doing a little bit differently in the last few weeks maybe is I've been reaching out to other peers in the industry. You know, I've been reaching out to various, you know, business owners and economic development people and so forth. But a lot of people have been saying you gotta just get to know your other peers, you know, in the business, because that's where a lot of good information is. So lately, I've been at least once or twice a week, I've been trying to have a coffee or a lunch with someone in some of the other, you know, commercial real estate firms, you know, with guys that you know, where you've seen their names on their signs and things like that, and it's been invaluable. I think with just getting, you know, a little bit more recognized, you know, within town, and just getting some of the just insight and just other information that guys that have been doing this for 20 or 30 years. And so I've been doing that lately. I've met with I got a lunch tomorrow with a guy from Beacon Partners. I met with somebody recently from Lincoln Harris and Keith Corp and everything. And I'm trying to meet another guy with a Foundry Group in about 2 weeks when he gets back from vacation. And it's just been good just to meet with these guys. I said they've been at this for quite a while. They're pretty well known around town, and just you know, just to kind of get a little bit more name recognition and just pick their brains. It's been I think that's been a good new thing I've been doing the last couple of weeks, and it's been helpful in a lot of ways with learning and stuff.
Man, I love that. That's invaluable. I mean, if people don't know you, you know, it's harder to get deals done.
Yeah.
I hate to say this, but this is definitely the ugly side of, you know, being in real estate, commercial real estate, especially. One ugly side of it is when you're brand new to the industry and you call a broker with a listing who's been in it for 20 years, they don't recognize who you are. It really is sometimes hard to get them to call you back. And that's not how it should be, but it's true.
It's a little bit like Hollywood. It's like kind of getting off the bus there in Hollywood from, you know, ABC acting school in Kansas City and trying to get an agent, you know.
It's so true. And you know, it really shouldn't be that way. But it is. And so when you network and when you get people to, you know you, you know, and then take them to coffee or just, you know, have lunch. I mean, you know, especially if you're an industrial, or you're like really focused on a specific asset class, take people in that asset class to lunch, coffee, you know, a drink, and definitely, and then you'll end up talking deals at that meeting, and deals, you know, that you didn't even know about, you know. And it's amazing how, you know, in commercial, we don't have a central MLS. We don't. I mean, we post things on LoopNet, Crexy, CoStar, Commercial Source. I mean, you name it, Site Index, whatever. It's all over the place, right? So I've literally had phone calls with brokers where we talked about one listing, and then they said, "Oh, I've got this other listing." And I'm like, dude, I couldn't find it anywhere on the internet. He's like, "Oh yeah, I have it out there." And I'm like, "Okay, send me the OM." And it was perfect for my client. That's why blast emails are so important in this industry, because there's not a central MLS.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah, and you said it perfectly, Clifford. Especially with various asset types, and you mentioned industrial, which I've been putting some emphasis on, and it is very clubby, and it's good to kind of know these guys, and it is good to get a lot of sometimes are off market things that you wouldn't ordinarily know about, that just just kind of come out of the discussion, and so on, and it's been helpful. You know, I've got a couple of buyer opportunities are kind of, at very specific requirements, kind of unicorns that people are looking for. I think it's been helpful in that sense to just kind of bounce it off these guys to see what they know. And a lot of times they know things that are not public information, So again, like Hollywood, it's the private information that really makes you valuable, So
that might be the best thing I've heard. I'd love it, Jeff. And also, I think I know John Stefano's on here. I don't know if he may be tied up, but I tell you, John did a really good job of finding out who the players were for adaptive reuse, off market, north end type stuff, and just called them all. And next thing you know, he's got sellers and buyers left and right. It was really impressive what John did in north end of Charlotte. And now, short couple years later, he's known as the guy, like the guy for off market adaptive reuse, redevelopment in the north end area. So, I think, Jeff, man, great topic, by the way. Thank you. If you want to be known as someone in the field as the best, or someone who, works in the industry, you got to network. And I love this saying. I heard it like twice this weekend. I don't know why, but it's not who you know, it's who knows you. I thought that saying was incredible. I don't know, it hit me really hard this weekend that when people know what you focus on and who you are and how you operate, then people bring stuff to you. They bring you opportunities, they bring you deals, they bring you, their questions. And I think in this industry, and that's the most valuable thing that we can have is a strong network. Is a strong network and being well known. So Jeff, great story. I love it.
Yeah.
That was good. Anyone else have any wins or losses or topics want to put? Is anyone as even more concerned about interest rates as I am? Anyone been following what's going on in the interest rate world?
I know went up another 0.5 point last week.
Yeah, right. Biggest hike in a while.
Long time. Yeah.
From the Fed.
And I know the stock market was kind of weird last week. It went up 900 points on Thursday and down 1,000 on Friday, or some, So it's been a little bit of a.
Well, Clifford texted me on the day that they raised the rates, and he said, "Why is the market going up?" I said, "Jerome Powell played it. He really did, far as saying what he wanted to say, but then the next day it really came back to earth."
Yeah, I couldn't believe that when they announced rates were going up 0.5%, that, the market shot up, and I was like, man, Jimmy knows the stock market a lot better than I. And I was like, I just don't get this. But sure enough, it corrected the next couple of days, which is interesting, I guess. But, at what point is our interest rate so high that people look at that monthly payment and go, I can't, I don't want to buy that? Or, do people look at cap rates and go, that cap rate doesn't make sense now because the monthly payment for the mortgage and interest, principal and interest just covers, what I make on rent. I guess my question is, what point does that happen? Because I know that the buildings that Anna and I have bought personally for commercial real estate, we got interest rates in the 4s and 3s. And if we would have bought them with like 7% interest rates, we would have never bought them because they wouldn't have cash flowed, because we would have basically been making enough rent money to just pay the bank. And that's it. So, why would we buy something that doesn't cash flow positively ever? So I guess my question is, and maybe it's just rhetorical or to myself, but at what point do we say as buyers, wow, we can't make any money on this, so why would we buy it? And what effect does that have? and what effect, and then owner users, at what point do they say, I don't need to buy that commercial building because, the interest rate makes my monthly payment out, what I can't afford. And then at what point do home buyers get priced out of $500,000 homes, and now looking at $400,000 homes and going, I don't want to live there. I'm just curious, when does that effect happen, and will it, or does everyone have enough cash that it doesn't matter? They're putting more money down, so it's no big deal. I mean, love to play some devil's advocate here and hear what people think.
I think a lot of people's got out of the stock market, transitioned to real estate, but now they're borrowing money. It's not that attractive to them.
So say that again. I didn't quite follow.
Before the stock market pulled back, I think a lot of people pulled money from the stock market and now transition into real estate. So that's where I think a lot of our cash is coming from other investments. But I do see where a lot of like residential buyers now are kind of about to be out of the game because they've, the prices of the housings is not coming down, but the rate to borrow money has gone up 0.75 in the last really about 30 to 45 days.
So I feel like a lot of people I know refinanced a home or sold a home and then invested in the stock market. And that's what kind of got them into crypto and the stock market, et cetera. And so I guess if they put that money in the stock market and started losing money, then they're going to take it out. And I guess that can negatively affect the stock market. I don't know. And I'm not an economist. I'm just like trying to think what's going to happen next and what can we do to be prepared at the end of the day. And does anyone see anything different than what I'm seeing? I'd love to learn.
Well, I mean, the one thing that concerned me last week when listening to Jerome Powell's speech, he said they would not hesitate to raise rates if inflation is not under control. So you got inflation at almost 9%. They about want that interest rate to be at a level with the inflation. So if that's the case, we're going to go through several more increases. And then the cost of borrowing money is going to be way up there now.
Got it. So if I know during the pandemic or so, a lot of people refinance their homes, to get cash out, right? Because, the equity, you want to get it. A lot of people want to get it out, and I understand that. Luckily, those are 30-year fixed loans. Typically, I think 1 out of every 100 loans right now in America are like adjustable rate. So that's good. Most of them were fixed for 30 years or 15. So I guess as long as people don't sell their home, they're not going to lose money. So that's a good thing. But if for some reason they got to move, right, and then or they need to refinance to get some more cash out at that higher interest rate, it's going to hurt. But I don't know. We don't have a crystal ball. Just thinking out loud here. See what we all think. What's going to dominate next is whoever has cash. If you can't make sense of deals, of cap rates or buying real estate because of loans, if they're at 5, 6, 7%, then the people with cash are going to win because they're going to be able to make sense of the loans. And no matter how bad or good things get, people always buy real estate, always, no matter what. And it's just who is going to be buying it. So I highly recommend talking to buyers right now in residential, commercial, doesn't matter, that have cash on hand. And if they have a lot of cash on hand and they want to spend it here in the next 12 months, you need to make sure that you're on them like white on rice, because they're going to spend it. They're going to use it to either buy a home or buy investment real estate, or maybe they're a business that has a lot of cash, that wants to buy a building. I mean, I think it's really important to find the groups that have cash right now. If you're looking to work with buyers, of course, I think it's always great to work with sellers because, just like Jeff said, I mean, he may not get that deal done, but he met a lot of people. He got a lot of inquiries. He got a lot of leads, opportunities. I mean, in my eyes, there are no bad listings. So always go for listings. But what buyers do you want to work with? I'd say people with cash is my recommendation. And not that I think there's going to be fire sales in the next few months. I just think that if you buy $1 million property at a 7% cap rate with cash, so you're making $70,000 a year net operating income or cash flow, and versus someone who bought a property for $1 million, 7% cap rate, but you get a loan at 6% interest. I would imagine that about, 40,000, 50,000 a year would be the mortgage payment, right? So let's just say you're only positive cash flow 30,000 a year on $1 million investment, versus someone who pay cash, they're cash flowing, 70,000 a year on $1 million investment. I mean, I don't know about you, but obviously the cash flow sounds a lot better, for the person who paid cash. So they're going to keep buying, right? But hey, if interest rates hit 8%, then I don't have a calculator in front of me, but I can imagine that $1 million property at a 7% cap rate with 7 or 8% interest rate probably isn't going to make you too much money, if any, per month. So why would we do that, right? We wouldn't. So I'd say network right now, get to know investors and funds and buyers and that are cash rich. If you're working with a buyer who says, "Oh, I need a big loan to buy anything," then I would definitely recommend hooking them up with a commercial lender ASAP, because all signs are showing that rates are going to keep going up. And if they're going to keep going up and up, then, now might be the best time for them to buy, or they need to wait a couple of years and see what happens to the market. So yeah, that's my advice. Anyone have any thoughts on that, or what they're going to do to get some buyers and sellers?
Hey, Cliff, I know we talked about this briefly this weekend, or texted about this briefly this weekend, but I was watching the kind of Cliff Notes version of the Berkshire Hathaway 2022 meeting, annual stockholders meeting this weekend. And what struck me, and I don't know why this has not struck me before, why it's not really been drilled down into my head very well, but listening to Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett speak, they're really, really bearish on Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Buffett said he wouldn't take all the Bitcoin in the world for $25. And when he was asked to explain that reasoning, he said, "Look, like, we're in the business of buying cash producing assets. That's what we do. Property and businesses produce cash. If I'm trading $1 million for $70,000 annually, like that's a return, right? And Bitcoin can't do that unless you continually have people buying a Bitcoin for more than what you bought it for. So in that sense, it's not a cash producing asset. I'm familiar with all the pro arguments with Bitcoin. I used to invest in Bitcoin and other crypto. I've kind of turned bearish on the whole subject lately. But on that note, Munger and Buffett, they always buy value. they asked Buffett, what do you think about this market right now? It looks like you're not investing, and Berkshire's not investing. You guys have $150 billion in cash piled up right now, and $150 billion is a lot. And they were getting a lot of pressure from investors to go ahead and start finding cash producing assets to invest in, and they weren't doing it. And Buffett more or less lectured the shareholders, and he said, you have to have patience until you could start uncovering value. So, and like, how does that kind of apply to the real estate market? Well, if you're looking in a certain area or in a certain asset class or both, and that these assets produce 6% on average, and you see 7% or 8% cap rate, Buffett says, screw timing the market, because I'm almost always wrong on timing the market. I never get that right. Buy for value, buy that cash producing asset. And I don't know. I think it's interesting because I've been following him since I was in my 20s. And I remember 2000, 2001, 2002 thinking, oh, like, these are just really old guys. They don't understand the internet. They're just too old to understand the internet. And the internet is so, like, it's such a great space, and it's transforming everything. And all that stuff at the time was undervalued. You had PE ratios that were like 900, that were just absolutely absurd, price to earnings ratios. And Buffett and Munger, like, they stayed away from that stuff. They stayed away from the hype. So I think the big lesson or the takeaway here is, like, even in downturns or even in ugly, I think we are going to, we're obviously starting to see headwinds here with interest rates going up. But I think that the lesson here is buy for value. Know what value looks like and buy for value in the long run.
That is good. John, thank you, man.
Yeah, I agree with you, John. And on Bitcoin, it's down $7,500 in a week and $10,400 in a month. So don't know if that's a good investment or not.
Some people would say buy the dip, but who knows if this is, maybe it's we're trying to catch a falling knife, right? I don't know. But John, patience. Oh my goodness, patience. That is the best thing right there. I mean, when it comes to working, right, trying to get listings, trying to get clients, trying to get opportunity, don't have patience. Don't sit around, wait for it, right? That's different. That you got to go out and make that happen. It's not going to land in your lap. But when it comes to deploying capital, investing, buying that new house, buying that new car, investing in a stock right now, I agree. I think patience is everything. I love it. Thank you, John.
I have been there, or I am there right now, because I have a couple big paydays in the next couple months, and my cash, I'm not trying to brag or anything, but my cash position keeps increasing. And if you're looking at inflation and CPI and everything that's going on in the news, you do start getting nervous. You're like, this is eating away at this cash I have piled up. But it was nice to hear in that annual shareholder meeting, hey, I'm Warren Buffett. I got $150 billion worth of cash piled up, and my shareholders are screaming at me to deploy capital, and I'm not going to do it until the time is right. I love that.
But he just picked up a huge, you spoke about technology. He owns one of the largest stakes in Apple. And now he owns 15% of Occidental Petroleum, which I had last year. And I made a 6-figure gain on it because I knew the price of oil was going up. So he's very solid in what he invests in.
Hey, Cliff, on that note, on the price of oil, I know we've talked about this before. housing in markets, the back end, where is that? The back end shale. Somebody help me out here. Back end shale, up in the Dakotas, West Texas. Housing is always, I remember making this play. I think it was like I think it was like 2006, 2007. I can't remember when it was, but oil, anytime oil goes through one of these things, like if you look at like oil sands up in Alberta, if you look at like the fracking shale reserves in West Texas or in the Dakotas, housing always takes like a year to catch up to that labor demand that's coming in. Like a lot of those wells have been shut down for a long time because they don't produce unless oil is over $80 or $100 a barrel. It doesn't make economic sense for them to produce. So if you guys are looking for like, a good real estate investment, like it takes a year for those markets to catch up. But like West Texas, man, I used to be in traveling sales. I used to have to go out to West Texas. And I'm telling you, when those towns were going through their oil booms there, you couldn't get a Days Inn, Comfort Inn, frumpy motel for $200-250 a night in the middle of nowhere. There was nothing. And it was like $250 a night. And it was just laborers, just guys like working these wells. So like, I don't know. I love stuff like that. Those labor markets are getting ready to get tapped again. And all those guys are going to require housing out in West Texas, Dakotas, Edmonton, where you have the oil sands. So that's just another investment idea.
Well, and too, a lot of those oil guys, I mean, they may have a high school education, but they're making $200,000-300,000 a year. So
they make a
like
ton
our coal
of money.
miners in West Virginia. So they live a different lifestyle, but they make big money there.
They make a ton of money.
Wow. How short-lived do you think that is? Is it a 20-year play, or is it a jump in and, make sure you can get out of it quick type play because it could disappear overnight? Or does that stuff really disappear overnight when it comes to oil? Does it stay forever? I don't understand it.
I don't know. To be honest with you, it's very cyclical. But I don't foresee, with all this stuff going on with Russia, and we're taking all this, natural gas and petroleum offline, and other markets like the EU are going to have to adapt to that. And they're going to have to start buying liquefied natural gas from the United States. I think we're like just seeing the tip of the iceberg right now with energy prices. I think energy prices are just going to keep, accelerating and going higher. Germany and the Netherlands, they've already indicated like they're going to start opening terminal ports so that the United States could ship liquefied natural gas in. So they want to get away from their Russian supply of natural gas.
I mean, oil right now is $105 a barrel. For us to get some gas relief, we got to be around that $70 to $75 range. It peaked to $130, but the day of the election, 2020, we was $37, $38 a barrel. So a lot of it's been bad policy, unfortunately, because we was exporting oil and now we're importing it. So until this policy kind of shifts itself to a different direction, then the price of oil is going to stay around $100 a barrel, which is not a good thing.
So if gas is around $100 a barrel, does that mean the gas prices stay about where they are now? Or
right. So right now on the stock market, it's $105 a barrel. But that's of course the ingredient for diesel, gasoline, jet fuel. So basically they sell it to refineries, but then it's got to go through that refinery process. But I've looked at but when I bought my oil stock, I bought it around $35 a barrel, and unfortunately sold it a little bit too early. But basically in a year and a half's time, we've seen a 200 to 300% increase. So But until we get down to around $70-$80 a barrel, we're going to be paying $4 to $5 for gas.
Got it. We most of our vehicles that we drive daily anyways are diesel, and it's it's like 560, 570 a gallon everywhere I go. It's rough. And
and two, it's supply and demand, and they're saying there's not enough diesel right now that's kind of refined at the moment. So I mean, but a tractor and trailer, keep this in mind, is costing now about $1,300 to fill up.
Oh my goodness. And I, we have family friends who, run their own, truck, their trucking company or truck, run their own truck. And let me tell you, I mean, they pay for their own gas, and it's not like they make $1 million a year running a truck. I mean, it's hurting them pretty bad, from a cash flow perspective. Has anyone else heard that if all the truckers decided to stop, that, we would all run out of food in a few days and all that crazy stuff?
I mean, absolutely. My dad's been a truck driver for 30 years. And you think about it, everything we get comes in on a tractor and trailer at some point. And two, I worked at UPS 5.5 years. UPS, half of their fleet's tractor and trailer. So, so it definitely affects the private companies, but all your mail goes tractor and trailer. Once that leaves the post office, it's on a tractor and trailer to its destination or to the airport. But yeah, it's definitely, I mean, that's why I think, but two, I mean, my cousins got a high school diploma and last year made $118,000 driving a truck. So truck drivers are making the most now than they've ever made in their career. Got
it. So they're happy. Like, they're like, okay, I'm making more money. It might cost me a little bit more, but I'm making more money. That's why I'm going to keep driving, I guess.
But the consumer's paying for all of this. And that's why we're seeing this 8-9% inflation, because we're picking up the bill for everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that makes sense. And this is why I like having people on who are smarter than me. I appreciate this. This is great. And you might look back and say, well, what does this have to do with real estate? Hey, at the end of the day, I think that if we're sharing knowledge about what's going on in the world with our families and our clients, it does help us in real estate. Help and our personal lives, helps us make better decisions. Me personally, I'm trying to, like John, build up as much cash as possible right now. And I know, and it's killing me that it is getting eaten up sitting in a bank account. But at the end of the day, I am terrified of the stock market. I'm terrified of, instead of losing, a few percent per few months, that I might lose 20% in a day. Last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, Amazon stock went down 17% in one day. I mean, Amazon is a company we all know. We all probably use them, and they said their sales are down. So, I mean, I don't want to lose 17% in one day. I mean, obviously, if you don't sell, you won't, you won't, but still, I still think that, my personal opinion, that building cash right now is the best thing we can do. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe prices for real estate keep shooting up, and, stock market turns around tomorrow and goes up 200%. I mean, I'm always happy to admit when I'm wrong, but I think the best thing we can do for our families and for opportunity right now is to build cash. So that's what I'm doing. Selling assets, working hard, closing deals, following up like crazy with clients, see how we can help, sending referrals. So I get referral fees, with EXP agent attraction, so that we can get some revenue share and free stock from EXP. Even though EXP stock is down, I don't care, because all my stock was free. So it can go to zero, and guess what? Nothing lost, nothing gained for me, other than because it was just an ancillary benefit of being with EXP, versus investing my own cash in it right now. So for me personally, I'm building cash. But why is that important? I mean, I hate to say it, but 08, 09, 10, about half of all real estate agents in the United States quit real estate because they ran out of money. They couldn't make money. They didn't have money saved. No one was prepared for a downturn. No one was prepared for recession. Hey, wake up call. We have one more quarter of a losing GDP than gross domestic product. Then guess what? We are technically in a recession. So, I don't think people wake up until the news is talking about recession every day, because, media controls mindsets a lot. But for me, I'm not waiting until I get that news. I'm building cash. I'm selling assets at the top of the market. I'm trying to make sure that there's a lot of cash on hand just in case some deals come. And if not, that's fine. That just means I can feed my family. I can take some vacations, and I can make them happy. So, does anyone else have any different investing strategy right now that we should look at? I'd love to hear it. Anyone want to share what they're doing to get prepared for a potential recession?
And
Tips and tricks.
just keep in mind that this quarter ends June 30th. So, I mean, we're only 6 weeks out, and, we could technically be in a recession by July or whenever they report these numbers.
Could be July. You're right. I think so. We had that mastermind at Primlin a month ago, and I sat there in that conference room, and I said, I'm gonna make a bold statement. I think we're 2 months into a recession already. And I think people thought I was crazy, but and I'm not saying I'm always right, because I'm definitely not. Just ask my wife. But I think I might have early called this one, and that's when I decided a couple months ago to start selling assets at the top of markets and cashing out. So I've believed it for 3 months that we're in a recession. And and by the way, I did some research on recessions, and you should yourself. Most recessions last anywhere between 30 days and 2 years. Most recessions, not all, but most of them don't last 10 years. The average recession, I think, lasts like 3 or 4 months, throughout the history of time, the average. So it's not the end of the world, right? When there's a recession. I think that, in my opinion, of course, it could be the apocalyptic recession that we're about to have, and that it's like the Great Depression that lasts, a few years. So if I don't think that, I'm not saying that can't happen, because it can, but the typical recession only lasts a few months. So my question to all of you and everyone listening and everyone in the world is, do you have 6 months of cash in your bank account in case something goes bad? Or do you have 6 months on a credit card that you could charge? Do you have access to a line of credit that allows you to live for 6 months? The thing you don't want to do 100% is get caught in a recession, everything stops, and you don't have any way to be able to supply provided for you and your family. That's it. Like, I think at the end of the day, if we have money in the bank or a line of credit or credit cards with open availability, immediate access to cash, for, borrow against whatever, a 401k or a whole life insurance policy. I think if we have access to that for 6 months, it's not so much that we're going to live off that. For me, I think it's confidence in being able to wake up and be able to focus and work hard, versus waking up trying to figure out how to make enough money to pay the mortgage this month. That's a huge mindset difference right there. Okay, I'm either waking up and I'm thinking about how to make, an $80,000 commission check in 6 months or less, or I'm thinking about what watches, what dirt bikes, what motorcycle, what W-2 job can I get to pay the rent or mortgage? there's a big mindset difference there. And let me tell you, it can happen overnight because it happened in COVID. You know, I kept reinvesting into the company and buying real estate. When COVID hit, Anna and I owned 5 income producing properties. And let me tell you, every one of them, we had to take $50,000 to $200,000 in cash to buy them. Right. And then we had loans. And so I never kept a lot of cash on hand. Never. I'm like, hey, I got the ability to make income overnight. I know how to hustle. I know how to grind. I know how to do this. I know how to do that. I got all these businesses and I got these properties, blah, 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 throwing off passive income. But let me tell you, COVID hit and I was not ready. I was not ready for that at all. Luckily, I buckled down and worked really hard and closed a bunch of deals, the end of that year and then beginning of next year. And the Lord blessed me. But, that doesn't always happen. I mean, none of those deals could have closed. Everyone could have said, no, Clifford, those Caliber collisions are terrible deals. Those industrial properties on Westinghouse and Choate and South Lakes are terrible deals. I don't want to lease that 100,000 square feet in Greer, South Carolina. I mean, those are some of the bigger deals I closed during COVID, and guess what? Some of them could have fell apart. And so I wasn't prepared. And now that I see what it feels like to sit there and apply for the PPP loans and the EIDL loans and this and that, and worrying about if I can, pay, keep food for my family and pay everything and keep the properties going when tenants weren't paying. I felt that pain and I don't want it ever again, ever. So I urge all of you, if you don't have enough cash on hand, please do it. And maybe some of you are like, hey, my overhead's so low, it doesn't matter. Okay, great. Good. Well, let's just say your overhead's only $3,000 a month. Just please, have $18,000, $20,000 in cash on the side, just so you can, you don't have to worry about month 2 or 3 selling watches you own or whatever, purses, and you can focus on this industry. Because if whoever focuses and works daily and consistently and works hard, you're going to win in good or bad times. But if you're distracted because you're just worried about putting food on the table, it's really hard to focus on making those cold calls for those deals that pay $80,000 when you're just really trying to figure out how to make $2,000 to pay some bills. And so anyway, no, I'm sorry for the doom and gloom, but I want everyone to win, and I know we'll all win if we have some dry powder.
And I agree with you 100%. And one thing I did last week, I mean, I didn't spend a lot, but I put $7,500 back in the stock market because the price is so low on some of this stuff that I feel like I have to buy it.
Yeah. And dude, I pray it goes up. And you play in the stock market a lot, right? You know it. You follow the news, you get it. So I trust whatever you're doing, right? Because you focus on it, you spend time, whatever. I don't. So for me to go put money in the stock market right now is just, unless you called me and said, Clifford, you got to invest in this right now, it's the best deal ever. I mean, I wouldn't do it.
Well, I mean, for me, I'm averaging down, and that's kind of the bad thing. When the stock goes down, it's the opportunity to average down, but you got to hope that it will return. But just like we mentioned earlier, it's really being patient, but there is some buying windows starting to open up.
Nice. Well, anytime you want to share something, just let us know, and I'd love to hear it. But yeah, do you mind explaining that concept real quick before we get off here at 11 about buying down? I'm assuming you're making your average less per stock.
Right. And so basically most folks will tell you to average up. Well, that's a good problem to have because the stock is going up, and then, but the average down, basically each time you buy, it changes your average on your average per share. So if you bought a little bit higher and the market pulled back like it has, then you would buy it at a cheaper price, and then it's pulling your whole average down on your pretty much your holdings for that, particular stock. So if you paid, for example, you bought 1,000 shares at $10, and then 2 weeks later you're buying another 2,000 now at $7 or $8. Now your average is really going to be in a lot better position.
Got it.
But but it is a strategy. I mean, you have to, I think, buy. I was a bulk, I like buying at one price, but I promise you, every time I buy a stock, it drops. So with that, I keep in mind is that you buy some, and then maybe a few days later you buy some more at a different price, or a week later. So you're really buying it in ideally 5 or 6 pieces.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
But if you can average down right now, like on Amazon or on about anything, because anything's going to be really at its 52-week high. And if it goes back to its 52-week low, if it goes back to its 52-week high, then, you're in a pretty good position.
I like it. Thank you. Hey, thank you for sharing. And listen, those of you who thought this would all be about only real estate, just know that if we don't understand some core concepts of the stock market, buying GDP, inflation, what's going on in the world, it's impossible to know what our clients are thinking when it comes to, their habits of if they're buying or selling real estate. So yeah, that's why I love these talk conversations, and everyone, I appreciate your input, your thoughts. It means the world to me. It helps me a ton. I hope it helps everyone else. Wes, do we have any questions or comments on YouTube?
No questions or comments.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us today, CRE experts. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, reach out to anyone on here. If you have questions about eXp Realty or eXp Commercial, reach out to anyone on here about it, and love to talk about it. But hey, we're one big family. Let's all just do me a favor today. Please call at least 2 sellers and or 2 buyers and ask them, are they buying or are they selling, and why or why not? If you do that today, I promise it'll bear some fruit. So please do that. Let me know how it goes. Everyone have a wonderful week. My phone's always on. Thank you.
Thank you, Clifford.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.